Welcome, everyone. Dr. Eddie is returning. It's been a while, but guess what? He's here this week and he's here next week. So it's back to back Dr. Eddie on Thursday morning. And he sent me the topic for today. He says, I've got a lot to talk about today. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Eddie so we don't miss a minute.
Oh, well, thank you, Tammy. It's good to be back again. Good to see you again. Good to see all of you here, and thank you. And again, if you have questions, put them into Q&A, and after we're done, we will take the time to start reviewing those. So again, welcome back to getting to the other side. And now, now today we're going to tackle an issue that it's a very common topic. Um, and that is why is it that so many men cannot deliver when it comes to their partner's grieving? Now, this isn't really a topic I spend a lot of time talking about. And the reason I haven't is because it's discussed out there by everyone. And I'd rather keep things rather unique and not, inundate people with, you know, material that you've been exposed to. However, the reason we're talking about this today is despite all of the information that is available to be able to help men to assist their betrayed partners, there are lots and lots of men who are failing at that. And I just thought, you know what? Why don't I give you my take on all of this and see if maybe this might make a bit of a difference as we move along. Um, so again, the idea is that, why can you not deliver when it comes to your partner grieving? I mean, think about it. You've caused the pain. You're the one who's responsible. If it wasn't for your inability to be able to handle emotional discomfort, or you're seeking affirmation and attention, most of you would not be sitting in the place that you're sitting in right now. Correct? All right. Now, I'm not trying to shame you men. That you need to understand that. But what I'm trying to do is deliver a wake-up call, right? And like I said, I'm not sure I've ever done one on this topic. But we have to figure out again, what is the problem here and what's going on? Why must you be so defensive or emotionally shut down when confronted with your partner's grieving? So if you're a man listening right now and you've acted out, whether it's through viewing pornography, affairs, or other sexual behaviors that have wounded your partner deeply, well, you know the scene, right? She's she's crying, she's angry, she's heartbroken. She might be screaming. She might be asking the same questions over and over again. But instead of leaning in with compassion, you feel like you're being attacked, that you're being misunderstood. You feel overwhelmed. So therefore, you put up these walls. You put up walls. So today what I want to do is I want to walk you through, why does this happen? Okay. And what does it really reveal about emotional maturity, or therefore the lack of, and how can you start showing up differently? Because that's where the real true healing in the relationship begins. All right. So let's start with a truth that many men don't want to face. And your defensiveness is not about her reaction. Right? Let me say that again. Your defensiveness is not about her reaction, her behavior. It's about your inability to handle the weight of her pain. That's what it comes down to, period. You don't have what it takes, but you need to learn to develop that muscle, because that is what she requires of you. And it is the only way moving forward that the relationship will get repaired. when betrayal's uncovered, right? The betrayed partner enters, this tsunami of grief, right? Her reality is shattered. She's asking questions. She's making accusations. She's resorting to name calling, not because she wants to hurt you. Lord knows she didn't want to be hurt. So therefore, it's not like she wants to hurt you, but because she's desperate to make sense of the chaos that you caused, right? She's lost. Let me say that again. She is lost and she wants to find herself again. The problem is you have the roadmap, right? You have the roadmap. And what she wants to see it. Wants to see what is the roadmap? How did you get to where you are right now? And where are you going? That's what you want. But in your emotional panic, you're too focused on feeling like you're in trouble and that the way she's treating you is not fair. But let me tell you, okay, years of acting out, not emotionally engaging the way you should, deceiving and lying, that was not fair. That was not fair. So she's on her pain field and she's seeking answers and she's seeking reassurance that you somehow will turn away from this double life, this secretive life that you led. But what do men do? We shift the focus. Why are you yelling? Why are you bringing this up again? Haven't we talked about this enough? Are you ever going to get over this? I, I said I'm sorry. And I promised I'd never do it again. Interesting. As I was writing that, and I started thinking about it, I said, "Oh my God, doesn't that sound like a little boy whose mommy just caught him in the cookie jar?" And again, I'm not. My intent is not to shame any of you men. What I want to do is make sure I have your attention. Do I have your attention? I hope so. Because if not, this will just continue. This is classic emotional immaturity. Instead of holding space for her emotion, we protect ourselves from discomfort. And what does that mean, hold space for her? That's what some people say. What does hold space? Hold space means I will be there. I will sit there. I will put aside my worries, my fears, my concerns, and I will be completely focused on her. All right. But if you're going to want to protect yourself from discomfort, which is something we've done since we were children, that's where it all started. All right. We learn to escape emotional distress by distracting ourselves. So in these circumstances, what you are doing, most likely you're subconsciously doing it. You're not really aware, but you're trying to shut her down. So therefore, you're doing it by trying to deflect the blame. You're trying to turn yourself into the victim. It's like, oh, I can't believe what a horrible person I am, and you're trying to shut down the dialogue. Right? But in doing that, the message you're sending to your partner, and I don't think you want to send this message, but the message you're sending is, your pain is inconvenient to me. Your pain is it's bothering me, it's troubling me. And I'm not quite sure I really know how to deal with it or handle it. Men, you need to hear this, okay? Your defensiveness and your inability to lean into her pain and stay the course is like pouring gasoline onto her grief. Because what you're communicating, and as I said before, you don't mean to communicate it, is she is not safe. It's not safe for her to express her emotions, and you don't want to hear about her discomfort. And all that does, it deepens her trauma. And you want to know, why haven't she healed? How come she hasn't healed? Right? Many of you have lied for years covering up your indiscretion. Okay? Or during discovery, you just dripped out the detail. You're a liar. I was a liar. Okay? And therefore, what I'm saying, you know what? Just saying I'm no longer acting out doesn't cut it. It's not enough. How can she believe that no matter how much work you're putting into recovery, no matter how much work you put into recovery, how is she going to believe you're not acting out? And now I can hear you. I can hear you. Well, you're Dr. Capparucci. Well, you just screwed me over. You know, no matter what I do, no matter how much work I do, she's not going to believe me. But that's not what I said. You see, now you're trying to shut me down. What I'm saying is being sober isn't enough for her to be able to determine if you're safe. Doing excellent recovery work, and many of you are doing excellent recovery work, isn't enough for her to be able to determine if you're safe. It's just not enough. Okay? So how do you make her feel confident, right, that she is engaging with a person, a different person, a transformed person who is going to guard her heart in the future? Right? It is by the way you engage with her when she is grieving, and the actions and inactions you take to show that you always have her well-being top of mind. Many of you have heard my mantra. How will this action or inaction impact Carrie? I'll put my wife's name in there. How will this action or inaction impact Carrie? It's something that I practice. With that, I don't make a whole lot of mistakes. I do make mistakes, but I don't make a whole lot of them because of that mantra. She knows that she's top of mind. And I'm pretty sure if I brought her in here, she'd tell you that. He said, yeah, he thinks about me. He puts me first. Right? And that's why we're discussing this today. Your frustration, your inability to cope, and worst of all, your fears are the number one reason why your marriage is not healing. You are still me-centered. Your window is narrow. This is what you see. This is it right here. You see this, right? And therefore you can't see what is important to create a relationship in which you feel secure. This window has to open so that you can see more. Because here, this is all about us. That's it. We're protecting ourselves. We don't want to look what's out here because we think there's trouble. You need to be able to open that window so that you can see beyond it. You know. So what if you didn't feel comfortable and secure with her during your marriage? What if the tables were turned, right? And you're the one who didn't feel comfortable. You don't feel safe with her because you feel like she's a threat of some kind, just like she sees you. How do you think you'd be responding? The same way. So why do so many of us respond so inappropriately? Why do we lack this ability to lean into our pain? Again, it's all about emotional immaturity and it's about fear. So there's three different things that I want to just go through very quickly. One, as children, we're not really taught how to process emotion. Okay, growing up, boys for the most part are told, toughen up, man up, stop crying. Okay, over time, you start to shut down feelings, with the exception of your own hurt, fear, and sadness. Okay, so when our partner's grief comes pouring out, we panic. We panic because we've never learned to sit in someone else's pain. We never even really learned to sit in our own. Now, sitting in pain is not easy. I'll be the first one to admit that it's not. But sitting in pain is essential. A key word, essential, if you want to mature into the man you want to be. As I say, as I tell my men, I go, sitting with your emotional discomfort is not going to kill you. It'll feel like it's going to kill you, but it's not. Instead, you have to hold on to this pain and you have to move forward despite it. And you'll see that you will be able to deal with it. And with that comes confidence. And with confidence comes real healing. The second problem we've had is that we're shame driven. Okay, after the betrayal, shame floods in huge. I'm a failure. I'm a monster. She's never going to forgive me. Shame doesn't lead to empathy. It leads to self-protection. That's what happens. So we throw up the defenses, to avoid feeling worse, not realizing what that does. It winds up making her feel alone. But hey, that's very me focused. At least I don't have to deal with her pain. Yes, you do. You still have to deal with it. See, and that's the thing here. You're not getting away with anything by trying to cut the corners, by trying to put up the wall, by trying to shut it down. You're not. Okay? You think the approach is going to benefit you. It's not. It's not going to benefit you. You have to be focused on being outwardly directed and therefore not making the situation about you. And then finally, the last thing is that we mistake control for safety. Many of us develop this coping strategy, very powerful coping strategy growing up to protect ourselves, and that's take control. When emotions get intense, immature men try to control the situation. We change the topic, we defend it, we attempt to explain, we'll argue, we'll walk away, we'll try to fix it. It's all about shutting her down. Now, once again, I'll admit, I'm not sure all of you or even know that you're consciously aware that's what you're attempting to do. Well, guess what? Now you are. Now you know. It's a defense reaction that may have served us well as children, no more. You have to let go of the need to maintain control in those difficult conversations. And yes, that is going to be hard, but it's possible. And instead, choose to connect. Allow space for her to express her feelings, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, here's the hard truth. Emotional maturity isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about being strong enough to stay present in that conflict. It's about replacing the defensiveness or the withdrawing or the stonewalling with curiosity and compassion. Let me make this very clear. Your partner doesn't need you to have perfect answers. What she needs is for you to show up, be consistent, be humble, and be empathetic. So therefore, you need to validate her pain. You know, I know that what I've done have hurt you deeply, and I'm here to listen. You need to stay on her pain field, even when you feel attacked. Because remember, this is not about defending yourself. Okay, it's about grieving. It's about her grieving what you took from her: safety, trust, stability. The pain, with the harshness that you're hearing from her, that's her pain talking. And you can handle it. And then finally, you need to own your own choices without excuses. You need to avoid the comments of, oh, I didn't mean that, or it wasn't that bad. Take responsibility. The inability of you to do that drives women insane. And what it tells them is you haven't healed. You haven't healed. You're still running away from that responsibility. You're not getting any better. And therefore, you're not safe. And I don't care how much recovery work you do, you still will be perceived as not safe. All of this is emotional maturity in action, in choosing connection over comfort. When every fiber within you wants to run, hide, argue, it does. Go back to what we talked about last time, self-regulation, okay? That's part of what we need to do. And so there's my challenge to you, right? The next time your partner expresses pain, pause. Take that deep breath. Again, regulate yourself. Go back to the last webinar we did a couple months ago. We did one on emotional regulation and the importance of it. Resist that urge to defend or explain. Bite your tongue and instead say these words to yourself. I want to understand more. I want to understand more. And then listen. I mean, really listen. Got to putting some of your fear, the way you put those fears aside, through the breathing, through the regulation. Try to pick up what's the pain point. Be curious and ask questions so you can get more data. So therefore you can make thoughtful statements. And ladies, there's two things. One, emotional maturity isn't built overnight. It takes me about 2 years of working with men for all of this to happen. None of this is natural for them. It's not. They're emotionally underdeveloped. And no matter how much they improve, they're never going to be perfect. So I'm begging you. Yes, I'm begging you. If he starts to get flooded, please allow him to take a break, a short break, so that he can go emotionally regulate and then come back to continue the dialogue. Because if you don't allow that to happen, what he's going to do is he's going to revert back to his behavior that we've been discussing today. And he's going to do it because he's going to be emotionally out of control. His autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system is going to kick in, and you're going to get the guy you don't want to see. We all have a breaking point. Giving a man a break at times is going to be beneficial, not only for him, but for you and the conversation as it continues. But Tammy, that's what I got for you today.
Great stuff. I put the link to the previously recorded webinars, which includes the one that Dr. Eddie was referring to in there. And also he's doing a special edition webinar on the 22nd that is for partners, and it does require registration. There's a small fee for that, but please check that out. We would love to have you there. So I put both of those in the chat. So I have a couple of comments. When you were talking about, owning your choices without excuses, I recently heard someone say, I made a couple of honest mistakes. And my first feeling about that, and this is my feeling, was like that felt like a minimization about,
Yeah,
like not
that's,
taking real ownership of it. So yeah,
that's
so that was,
exactly what it is.
and
Minimizing.
then you also talked about, control, looking for control for safety. And I thought, and partners, like it ends up being both of them, trying to, seek that control of, like, now he's unsafe, he's proven he's unsafe, and so I'm going to try to control everything. And it doesn't work. It's like, it's so difficult to, unpack that, because there's that, like you said, it's a deep, feeling of, like, well, if I just control it, if I just line everything up correctly, then we're going to be okay. And we do want your questions, and we always run out of time, so I'd invite you to type them in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. So then I also wanted, you talked about the defenses, like being a shield. It's kind of like a shield. It's like, well, I'm going to be defensive in all of this. But I felt like that's like just kicking the can down the road. But it also makes the boulder bigger, because
Yeah,
like it just exponentially makes things worse.
right.
Yeah.
But we have to remember, why is that happening? It's because the autonomic nervous system is out of whack. Okay, the sympathetic nervous system is running the show, and therefore, again, the fight, or freeze. And that's why the self-regulation, the emotional regulation is so important. And that's why the breaks are important, because of that. Um, I've seen guys, I've seen it when I've done couples work, and they freeze. And you could just see the tightening, they're like this. And then all of a sudden, you could see the change, and they start to get upset and angry, and then they're lashing out. And they need to be able to control that. The only way you learn to control that is by being able to emotionally regulate.
And I was thinking, when you're doing this, and you've got your horses behind you, and I was like, it's like the horses with blinders. I can only focus on this, and I know that that's, like, I can only focus on me. I can only focus on me. You also commented of, like, to the addict partner, if you, how would you feel if you did not feel comfortable? And I know you've seen this too, where it's almost been weaponized, against the partner, where, well, you are making me feel uncomfortable. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's this idea that, okay, they're more concerned. What I always talk about, the idea that their emotions trump their partner's emotions. That's what it comes down to. They trump it. So therefore, again, and sorry about that, um, a lab. Um, Instead of them being, again, focused, and that zeroed in on what their partner's going through, instead they see that hostility, or they take it as hostility, and they go into this defensive posture, where again it becomes about me, and the only thing they want to do is to escape at that point. They're looking to escape. Well, you're not going to accomplish anything by running away and escaping. And instead, what you have to do, again, we got to man up to be able to do this. But again, you can't man up unless you control the anxiety level. And that's why we did the anxiety first before we sat and we talked about this next, okay? Because again, that's what you have to understand. Most men, a large majority of betrayed partners, are not acting the way they are because they want to be jerks. Okay, that's not what they're doing. They're acting this way because, one, they don't know any better. They don't know how to self-regulate. They're showing you what they've lived with all their lives. That's all you're doing. That's what you're saying. You see them probably the same way they've acted with their parents when they were younger, the way they acted with bullies when they were younger, whatever they did. You're seeing the same thing. And once we start to educate them to try to start to understand, wait a second, this approach you're using is not benefiting you, is not benefiting your partner, it's not benefiting your relationship, and actually is a continuation of your addictive behaviors. It's just not dealing with acting out, but it's the same thing. It's that lack of emotional intimacy that is at the core of all of this.
And I appreciate that you said that too, because we talk often about like just stopping the problematic behavior or substances or whatever is not recovery. That's just abstinence. And so what you're talking about is if you want to learn to do things differently, be on a recovery journey, get the benefits of doing real recovery work, things have to change. So we
Yes.
have a question. Oh, go ahead.
No, no. I'm good.
Okay, we have a question. What if you know your spouse has childhood trauma and you want to genuinely help? So I got the Going Deeper book for her, but I have this feeling she's going to refuse it because she will take it as I'm trying to fix her. Okay, so this is the betraying partner saying,
Yeah.
I got this
Yeah.
for my wife to help her.
Yeah. I understand. We don't advise that you do things like that. When it comes to betrayed partners, this is a decision they have to make on their own when and if they want to look at their trauma and to explore it more to determine is it playing a role in healing. It is not something that you should be driving. Anthony, you should not, that's not what you should be doing. I would take that book and put it away somewhere. I would not give it to her. And I know there's a frustration in you because if you're saying, well, thinking, well, I'm doing all my work, everything's good. I think the only reason we're not healing right now is the stuff that she is dealing with. I would again just try to have conversations with her, gentle conversations about, hey, you know what? You want to talk more to me about what some of the pain points that you dealt with when you were younger, and just see if you could start having some of those brief little conversations that maybe she's willing to share some of it. But she's got to believe that you're going to be safe. Because if she starts to share something with you, and then you go, aha, see, that's why you won't heal. You're the problem. And when Terry and I wrote the book for Betrayed Partners, it was not to be used as a tool for the betrayer to say, hey, she's the reason we're not healing, because that's not the case. That's not the case.
And rather than putting the book away, I wonder if you read it. I wonder if you went through that and you could see some of the story. They do a brilliant job. I love that book, but they
Yeah.
do a brilliant job of sharing stories, and you get heartfelt, like, wow, that had to be so hard. And then they share the journey, out of that as well. So perhaps, you reading it might help you hold the space, for your spouse as well.
Yeah, and I don't want to throw away the book. I just want to put it
Right.
away so
I
she
know,
doesn't.
I know. I said, but like, not even put it away. You could
No,
like
I think I
read
think
it.
yeah, I think you can read it, but again, don't get so caught up in it that you're like, oh, I could see this in her and I could see that in her. And just like I said, try to
Right.
have very gentle conversations with her about some of the past. That's all.
Yeah. So the next one, we are 7 years into recovery. Sometimes I feel like my wife just can't have any forgiveness for my actions. Am I just using that as an excuse? The things that triggers her are very minor items in my eyes.
Okay, so that is, Owen, that's a very difficult question for me to answer with that limited information. The fact that, are you just using it as an excuse? I don't know. I really need to understand more. However, what you say that they're very minor things in my eyes, and yet she's getting triggered by them. If you're thinking, oh, wow, this isn't a big deal, then I'm wondering how often have you sat to talk with her about, so tell me why when I did A, what was about A that troubled you so much? What is it that, I could have done different about that? So see, what you are seeing as minor may be to her something that's not minor at all. So I wouldn't just make the assumption that that's what it is. Instead, get more data. Find out what is it that has her so upset about this. And you may see it in a different light then. You may realize and say, oh, wait a second, this isn't that minor. This is this is troubling for her. And I need to make some changes and adjustments.
And I'm and I'm curious about that. I'm using it as an excuse, and I'm going as an excuse for what? For I'm curious about that. And then the other thing I was thinking about, the triggers that are minor. Dr. Rob talks about in Out of the Doghouse, a partner who filed for divorce because her husband, the betraying partner, didn't take out the trash. He lied about taking out the trash, and her he was like, it's just trash. And it was, no, if you can't tell me the truth about trash, how could I ever believe you about
Right,
something else? So it
right.
sounds like a really minor thing, but it wasn't. So
No, it's about lying. It's about
yeah,
deceit. And to your
trust.
point, you have not changed. You have not changed. Yes, I have. I've changed a great deal. I haven't cheated or I haven't looked at porn. No, I haven't done any of that stuff. You're lying about things that are not important. You're lying about that. So therefore, it leads me to believe you would lie about things that are very important to me. This is the disconnect that emotionally undeveloped man has. That they're trying to always rationalize things to say it's not that big a deal or it's a minor thing. Why are you getting so bent out of shape? Because it may not actually be minor. You have to go deeper to see what is the real pain point. He jumped to the conclusion, oh, she's divorcing me because I didn't take out the garbage. That wasn't the pain point. The pain point was he's still lying, and he's lying about things that aren't even not important. So my gosh, I can't trust him. He's not safe at all. That's what the pain point was.
Okay. So I'm the offending partner. We have check-ins every morning that last approximately 90 minutes. When my partner is in her grief, she becomes triggered and everything pours out. It's hard to have a conversation when she is triggered. I am committed to lean into her pain, but it is hard when she is deeply triggered. Any suggestions on how I can connect?
Okay, so what you're saying is she's grieving, she becomes triggered, everything pours out, and I guess when everything pouring out is becoming overwhelmed for you, it's overwhelming in a sense. And again, I think you got to sit there and again, regulate. Now, again, you're doing this every morning. It lasts about 90 minutes, an hour and a half. You know this. You need to go into those meetings regulated, prepared. And I'll guarantee you, you go into many of those meetings and you're not completely regulated. And so therefore, it's very quick that you could, get dysregulated if she starts to get triggered. So one, I would make sure before I go in to those meetings that you are emotionally regulated as well as you can be. I would look at maybe the 45-minute mark. Can we take a short 5-10 minute break to be able to do this and then be able to go back, regulate yourself again? The other thing is, again, when you say she becomes triggered by something, I assume that that trigger is something that you're talking about. You brought up something that triggered her. So now what I'm doing is I'm turning my attention to be very curious with her about why is it so triggering? What is it to try to again to get more information from her So therefore, you can stay in that dialogue longer without you getting to the point where you're saying it's too hard for you. That's where I'd be going right now.
So I really want input on this because I have some thoughts on this, and you
Yeah.
may completely disagree. I would, if I'm a person in recovery for a long time, if I knew every morning I had to get up and deal with a 90-minute and it was just going to be completely dysregulating, I couldn't do it. I would not show up as my best self, like no matter how much regulating I did in advance. When I'm sharing, the Fanos are fine check-ins, a check-in is that a check-in. This feels like even when we talk about scheduling a time to talk, it's 20-30 minutes because and it's back and forth, like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But this feels like a professional because this feels stuck. And so like I can imagine that there's a lot of the repetition of the same things coming up every morning, 90 minutes. Now, maybe a variation on the theme, but something like this. So what I'm reading in this is a lot of dysregulation for both of you and stuck. And I'm wondering if working with a qualified professional to help you navigate that, but setting boundaries on what a check-in is and the time frame and holding those, both of you, and I love that Dr. Eddie said, wonder about stepping away. To me, if I'm dysregulated, all bets are off. I mean, I can be sitting here, doing my best, just pay attention. But at some point, I'm not going to show up as my finest self. So thoughts on any of that?
Yeah. I mean, one, I was under the assumption that she's not triggered every time. But first and foremost, let's go back to your point. 90 minutes really is not a check-in. I mean, a check-in in both cases, 30 minutes, 45 minutes max. It is supposed to be just that. How are you doing from an emotional standpoint? Are you in a good place? You're not in a good place. What are some of the concerns and worries that you have that are weighing on you that could put you in a bad place, increase your risk? Same thing with her. That's what we're looking to do. I think your idea is an excellent one. If you're working with a couples counselor, bring the situation into the conversation, talk about it, tell the counselor what's going on here, see if they can help to. You folks have heard me say this many times. Everything that you're supposed to do together is supposed to be to benefit healing and to bring you closer to restoration. Everything. Whenever you're doing something over and over and over again, and it is not meeting those objectives, something's wrong. What is that that's wrong? I don't know. Tammy doesn't know. We're not there. Okay? It could be him. It could be her. It could be both of them. We don't know. It could be the process. But if you're doing it over and over and it's just causing more hurt, more conflict, more grief, something is wrong. And you need to be able to go seek somebody out to say, we need a system in place where we can be moving forward. And I understand, okay, there's a timeline for everything. I understand the beginning with discovery and all. We're not pushing you forward. I get it. But when you've been doing this for a while and you're still getting the same old, you got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why are we doing this? There's got to be a better way, and there is. There is.
Okay, and I'm going to put in the chat the Empowered Women's Retreat that is coming up shortly, and that is about healing for the partners. They don't even talk about you. It's like, and I'm saying that because
Yeah.
it was the betraying partner, but it's about healing for them, regardless of what you're doing or not doing. There is so much to process through when they get a chance to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question, will going to SA alone eventually fix the emotional problems, or should I look into one-on-one counseling? Do we really need check-ins and intimacy exercises? I want to comment on going to SA alone. If you're just warming a seat there, no. Like,
Mm.
no, you got to work we talk in 12 step. It works if you work it. You got to do the steps. You got to,
Right.
you got to do the work. So just hanging out doesn't, I mean, you make friends and you can, for that
Right.
1 hour, you're good. But so thoughts, Dr.
Yeah.
Eddie?
No, definitely. I think it's a good thing to do. Do I think that alone is going to fix the, the people who are emotionally underdeveloped? No, I don't. It is going to take one-on-one counseling because, like I said, that's like a 2-year process that I work. I wish it wasn't, I wish it was a lot shorter, but it's not because again, everything there, none of it's natural. So again, I wouldn't stop going. I think Tammy's right. Make sure if you're there, you're investing fully into it. And do you need check-ins and intimate exercises? Yeah, they definitely help. There's no idea. All of it helps. It all helps. I mean, just doing one thing, like Tammy likes to say a lot, like, hey, just going picking up and reading a book is not going to solve their issues. Okay? It's the same thing with any of these. We need a well-rounded mix without it being overwhelming. Well, that's the one thing. Some people overextend on it and it becomes too much and then you get burnout on it. So I think what you have here, check in, intimacy, intimacy exercises, one-on-one counseling. I think the essay, I think that's all a good mix.
And we talked about the work groups, and I'm just gonna get my handy dandy little link for that too. Oops, sorry. But we talk about the work groups, and there are the things that start with sex addiction 101 or porn addiction 101, but it goes on. Dr. Eddie does the inner. So once you've got a foundation, then starting to dig into some of those deeper issues, the going deeper, the why men struggle to love, attachment wounds, healthy intimacy, all of those are options after you get, like a solid 3 circle plan and you're not acting out. Okay, now I'm ready to do some of that deeper work. And separately, we have betrayed partner, groups as well that help partners, understand what, you know, there is so much misinformation out there on what addiction is and isn't. And there is so much information out there, misinformation out there. Well, if you just do this, or anecdotal, well, I did that and then everything was fine. Well, great for you. And that's not research based. So we want to have resources that are really meaningful and helpful on this journey that bring true healing. So
Yeah.
we try to have lots of things, free drop-in groups, free webinars like Dr. Eddie's doing right now. We had one with Dr. Alexander Repka yesterday on personality disorders. Fascinating. We
Mm.
want to have good information for you on this journey. And the more you lean in and find things with accountability to others, that's a key thing for an addict is accountability, because our best thinking got us here. We're not the ones to think ourselves out of it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, but keep coming back, keep doing more. Things can change. So this question on blind spots, there was a quick thing, and I was like, I'm confused. So this person says my blind spots blinded me. I had to be told I didn't see it was my problem.
Oh,
That's
like, yeah, I mean, there are blind spots. That's why we do need to be told that sometimes that um, we don't know what we don't know. I mean, that's something that's in the book over and over again. We just don't know that we don't know. Like I said, it's not natural. All these things, having a window that big is not natural. Our windows like this, okay? Being outwardly focused is not natural. Oh, you might be the life of the party at things, but we're talking about the real vulnerability. So there's many things that, again, we just don't know. So that's why, yes, people have to tell you. But you know what? Instead of having people tell you, it's better to go and learn yourself what it is. So, and we have a workshop coming up in September or Why Men Struggle to Love, and there you can learn all about your blind spot.
And I agree with that. And I think it's also, but in community, in 12 step, in the work groups and drop-in groups, on on these things, somebody will hear on the webinar, somebody will hear, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah. And that helps erase the blind spot. So that, because like you just said, if we just read a book, I can skip over sentences and paragraphs and and have it misquoted. I can't tell you how many times people, take something out completely out of context and it flips the meaning. So we need that accountability. We need that
That's
reality check, with other
right.
people.
Agreed.
So this comment was to the 90 minutes of check-in. Isn't that a lot of time each day? When do they get a chance to live life? So
Is this Dr. Allen Cass?
it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
so good to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm honored that you would be here in our group joining us. So I love your work. So thank you. Yeah, 90 minutes is a lot. It's definitely a lot. That's what we talked about before. Usually 30 minutes, maybe 45 at tops of it, the top aspect of it. But yeah, that's a lot, and you can understand if you're doing 90 minutes a day. I think Tammy hit the nail on the head. There's probably a lot of regurgitation that is going on. It is just, the same thing day after day after day. And again, it goes back to my point, what's being accomplished? What are we're not accomplishing anything of value. Next time, which is coming up next week, that is going to be a big part of what this is about. Okay, we're gonna be talking about
So stay tuned on that.
what are we trying to accomplish? Okay, when we talk about her healing, we talk about his recovery, talk about coming together. What are we trying to accomplish? And I have some really good insight. I've been doing a lot of conversations and with people like Tammy, with other women who lead various groups and are head of different organizations to help the betrayed partner. Really been picking their brain a lot about this topic. I have been blown away by what they told me. I mean, blown away because I was expecting to hear, Eddie, you just got to let them write it out. Eddie, you just got to let them, whatever it is that's bothering them, let them handle it the way they need to handle it. Eddie, it's just going to take however long they need to do. And that is not what I'm hearing. And so I think that's extremely interesting information. It can really kind of go back to what Terry and I had seen doing the work that we have done with the betrayed partners. And again, why the book came out and going deeper for the betrayed partner. And again, once again, ladies, for the most part, ladies, I notice some men out there too, not blaming you at all. Okay, not blaming you. So the blind spot
I
group,
just put
just
the
put it
link.
up there. Put
Yeah,
there.
I put it in the chat. That was specifically why I'm in Struggle to Love, but it's also I put all the work groups, so you'll see the Going
Right,
Deepers in there as well. So check them all out, but you can
right,
register in there. So retreats covered by insurance. Our residential program is not driven by insurance. We wanted to make sure our professionals are providing the help that people need, not checking off boxes for insurance. So the
right.
retreats are not. Please check into that though. There may be a health savings account that could apply towards some of that, or I don't know, but I would look at that as I'm willing to invest in my healing. So
Yeah,
consider that. Like, what is the cost to not get the help that you need? And for many people, they find that no, I'm going to choose me. So
right,
um,
exactly. So
and,
just a real fast, again,
yes,
just because you mentioned it before, I think it's important that on September 22nd, we will be doing a webinar, right? A
yes, and I'm going
workshop,
to put that back in the chat in case somebody joined
right?
late.
And that is going to be for the betrayed partners, and we're going to be discussing the idea of inner child work. Could inner child work be something that can help you in your healing process? So I'll be doing a presentation. We'll have time for Q&A, questions. We'll maybe do a few polling questions along the way. Want to try to make it very interactive and engaging. But as you said, their registration is required,
Yes.
and there is a fee. It's not a big fee.
No, it's $30 for a 90-minute presentation. This will not be recorded and posted, so it's not going to be
So,
accessible later. So, this would be one of those, if you want to participate, it's a little different, and it's, there is a fee, but it's a nominal fee. So we're hoping you'll support,
right.
that as well. We want to bring some additional things. And so this is our testing, but we love
Yeah,
Dr. Eddie's work, and love I was so grateful when he and Terry came out with the Going Deeper
right.
for betrayed partners. It's really helpful. I was compelled by the stories, the cases of, they're not just make up stories that
Yeah.
they shared. So there's healing.
Yeah, but again, to your point, Tammy, it's a one-time event. Like I said, we're not recording it, we're not posting it anywhere. It's just going to be live that one time. So, and there'll be a limited number of spots for that. But anyway,
Yes. And hopefully you join and can prioritize, because it's September 22nd. So you've got time to plan and clear your schedule for that 90-minute pocket of time. So
so the last time I signed up for an inner child and paid the fee, but never got the link to the webinar, I don't know what we would have charged you for. Do me a favor, send me an email, innerchildmodel@gmail.com, innerchildmodel@gmail.com, and I will, try to figure that out. And
well, or if it was through Seeking Integrity, if it was one of our work groups, then you can reach out
oh, that's
to,
different, right? They could reach out
yeah,
to you.
that would be
But
different. And so,
yeah,
yeah, and the
come to
links
me
are actually
first.
posted in the thing. So either reach out to Dr. Eddie or reach out to Tammy, TAMI at Seeking Integrity, and one of us will figure it out. So,
All right, we're out of time.
all right. Thanks,
Thank
everyone. See
you.
you next week.
Bye.
Bye.